Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Thanks so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Guys, there was a time where I would have stood in line for hours to get my hands on this beer. It had a cult following for a long time, and it still, to an extent, still does around here, and not so much in other places closer to the brewery. This, at one time, I thought was the quintessential bourbon barrel stout. Not so much anymore. It is a good beer. It is a tasty beer. Around here, it is a hard beer to get a hold of. This was dropped off by my brother Dennis. So Dennis, thanks a bunch. This particular one here, guys, was bottled on 01/20 of 21. So it's almost a year old in the bottle. Today is December the 30th. So real close. We're a couple of weeks away from being a full year old in the bottle. And they put it in bourbon barrels in a cave, from what I read, for a full year before they put it in the bottle. So this beer was actually brewed 2 years ago, and then a year in the barrels, and then a year in the bottle. So it was actually further than 2 years, because that's how long it takes to go from the barrels to the bottle, and then what I have now. So it was brewed before it was put in the barrel. So well over 2 years old in the making for this particular version here, guys. So and they're up in Michigan, I think Kalamazoo or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, they're up in Michigan, and they have a pretty big distribution footprint for their beers. They've been doing beers for a long time. A lot of controversy recently over their brewery, so I'm not going to get into that now. So we're going to find out what the 2021 edition of this beer is about. Over to Untappd, they say it's 70 IBUs for this particular version at 12% ABV, which is a big beer, guys. Drink responsibly. Don't do nothing stupid. You'll regret it. Trust me. You might get lucky a couple times, but the law of averages will catch up with you, and then the law catches up with you soon thereafter. So, but that being said, it's a tasty beer, guys. Before I even get into it, it is a very, very tasty beer. A little pricey, but I mean, for the process it takes to get this beer to this stage, I mean, you gotta pay for that. I mean, that's how it goes. Especially when they put it in a barrel for a whole year, taking up that space. And like I said, don't think it's going to be super carbonated right out of the bottle like this. I don't think any of them have ever been super or over carbonated. Once it sits in the barrel that long, any kind of fermentation completes. I mean, sometimes you'll get some additional fermentation if we're trying to bottle condition it or something, but after it's been in a barrel that long and then the bottle this long, right at a finger and maybe a quarter to a half of head on that nice brown khaki colored head, very reminiscent of what I think a stout or what the last one of these looked like. Very nice, pitch black, guys. I don't see any light to it. A really good looking stout. They do these beers pretty damn well. To the nose we go. And before we go to the nose, when I first started drinking these guys, I mean, I could taste the bourbon, I could taste this, I could taste that, I could taste everything. Now that my palate has advanced a little bit, and drinking a little stronger bourbon beers. This one, from what I remember, wasn't that off the chain with the bourbon. So let's see if the 2021 edition changes my opinion. It's not off the chain bourbon, but I do smell it, guys. I mean, it's there, but it's not off the chain bourbon. I mean, and that's probably what they want. They don't want the bourbon overpowering their beer. I mean, some of you cats that like stronger bourbon notes, you know how to fix that. I've told you that many times. Put your little bit of bourbon in there, and there you go. So, smells pretty good. I mean, roasted malt, hints of bourbon, caramel, toffee, black molasses. And the longer you, especially if it's right out of the fridge like mine is, the longer you leave it out and let it acclimate and come up to room temperature and get warmer, the more bourbon notes you're going to get, and more of anything else you may taste. Maybe some dark fruit, or maybe even some coffee sometimes. So, I mean, I don't think this was brewed with any coffee, but I can definitely smell the bourbon, guys. I mean, it's there. It is definitely there. And every time I go back to the glass, it seems like I'm smelling a little bit more of it as it gets warmer and acclimates to the glass and the air and the room condition temperature. That's just going to increase. So let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Denny. Thank you, my brother. Very nice, guys. I mean, that is a very tasty beer. I can't take anything away from it. For me, there's enough bourbon in this beer. I don't have to add anything to it. I mean, that would just be wanting to get into the super hammer lane real quick. That's not necessary unless you want to get in that lane real quick. So it's up to you where you want to go. 12%, or do you think you really need to put any bourbon in it? When you're trying to get an 18% or a 20%, so if that's where you're after, it's easy to do. But I think this is just right the way it is. Enough bourbon for this guy. And 10-12 years ago, I probably would have found this beer too boozy. It would have overpowered my palate at 12% and an amount of bourbon barrel taste and alcohol that's in it would have done. I mean, if you're jumping off of a Miller Lite and you're going to try this, it's going to slap you down. Ain't no doubt in my mind. If you've never had something like this and you've been drinking light beer all your life, you're in for a rude awakening, no doubt. And they'll be picking your ass up off of the floor somewhere. So, with that being said, guys, it's right out of the fridge, so we're going to let it warm up. That's what you have to do on beers like this. I mean, any of these high alcohol stouts and porters and barley wines, let it come up. Don't chug it. I mean, that's just like grabbing a cigar and you know, and hot boxing and smoking the whole thing right after the other. You know, slow down. It's a sipper. Enjoy it. Take your time. Let it come up to room temperature. It will be much better time you get to the end of it if you take 30, 45 minutes, an hour to completely sip on this. You will enjoy it much better than trying to chug it in 30 seconds. You'd be like a malt liquor drinker then. Nah, and they're not allowed. Alright guys, I'm going to sip on it. Be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sipping on it for a while now. It's definitely up to room temperature. The bourbon notes are definitely very prominent now. This is an awesomely well made beer, guys. I mean, there's no doubt about it. 12%. There is some alcohol booziness to this beer. I mean, I'm going to be straight up. It's in the bourbon barrels for a full year, and it's got a lot of those characteristics from those bourbon barrels. So, like I said, you wouldn't want to jump from a Miller Lite to something like this. I mean, this would definitely be a shock to your palate and your system. But if you're used to drinking something like this, or enjoy it occasionally while you're at home, or have a designated driver, that would be perfect, basically. This is an awesome beer. I'm not going to take anything away from it, guys. It's very impressive, worth picking up if you're into this style of beer. Tasty, super tasty. I might even say it's probably outstanding. Final joke. That's a very well done beer, guys. There was a time not long ago that I said I would not review or buy any more of these beers, but guys, that would probably be a mistake, and I regretted saying that. And bottom line, if you're a bourbon barrel stout fan and you can get your hands on these beers, you cannot go wrong. I mean, that's where I'm going to put it. It's a 10 beer, guys. It's an absolutely A+ in my book. I mean, the bourbon is there, all the notes are there, the roasted malt and the caramel and toffee and black molasses. I mean, you may even be able to get some dark fruit notes out of this. Pretty tasty beer. A well done beer, guys. It is. Beer Advocate has it at 100. I agree. And over to Untapped, they have it at 4.24. Not the best numbers from those guys. I mean, that's their A. I consider that their A beer category. So I think it's an A+. I mean, a lot of people have a problem with that right now, but I'm past it. I moved on. I didn't pay money for this beer. I don't know what Dennis paid for this beer. He actually brought me a couple different, I think I got 2 of these, and he gave me another version that I don't think I've even reviewed from these guys. So the other one, like this one, has got the same date on it. I'm gonna celebrate it for a while, and the other one we're gonna review. So I don't think I've reviewed it yet. So. Tasty beer, guys. If you've had this from Founders Brewing, the Kentucky Breakfast Stout, KBS as it's called, 2021 edition. This was put in the bottle in January in 2021. So if you've had it, let me know what you think. Till we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.